to tap through mom guilt. So this is particularly for all the moms out there, just to create a space for some gentleness and compassion for those moments when we might feel like perhaps we don't like how we handled a certain situation, we're feeling distraught, or perhaps even don't recognize ourselves as we go through the various seasons of motherhood. And depending on what season you're in, I know that we can all have these moments where life gets the best of us and we kind of feel like, we shoulda, coulda, woulda, if, things were perfect, or, things like that. So I just wanted to offer this because as a mother, I'm definitely can relate to those moments, and especially when the kids were really young and you're still trying to navigate how to juggle motherhood along with taking care of yourself and your own needs, and there's time constraints. Life is drastically different. And so I invite you to join me today. Hello, Latino Tools. Thank you for being here. We are tapping through mom guilt. So if you can relate, stick around and we'll do some live tapping. Okay, so before we begin, just take a moment to take some nice gentle breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. And as we breathe, allowing the breath to come deeper and deeper down into the body, down into the belly, down through the legs, down into your feet even. And I invite you to take a moment to reflect. If there is a moment, a situation, perhaps it's happening now, perhaps it was something that happened in the past, even if it was years ago or even a week ago. Is there a moment as a mom where you feel some guilt or shame around how you may have handled a situation? So just taking a moment with lots of love and gentleness and compassion to reflect on that moment. Just as the observer, we're not making any meaning of it or analyzing it, just observing what are the emotions that come up when you think about this incident or this time. And whether it brings up some grief or sadness or anger, frustration, disappointment, what is the emotion that comes up with that time when you were feeling some mom guilt? Because, I know that we're all working hard to do our best, and at the same time, we are human beings, and when we have lacked sleep or we haven't had the time to center ourselves in the ways that we are familiar in centering ourselves or giving ourselves what we need, it's understandable. We get into survival mode and we don't have as many resources at our disposal when we are in that state. So, all right, and now I invite you to do your best to tune into where you might be feeling that emotion in your body. Are you feeling, and just scan your body. Is there a place in your body that your attention is immediately drawn to? Or perhaps there's a part of the body that feels tense, or you feel some sensation in that space. All right, so just identifying it for the purpose of taking in information. And now I ask you to rate on the scale of 0 to 10, how much does that affect you? When you think about that and that emotion comes up, how much does it affect you? Where 10 is, it is extremely, extremely debilitating, it's affecting you very much, or 0 on the opposite end is it's not an issue at all. So again, just taking a guess if you're not quite sure. Okay. So now I invite you to tap on the side of the hand with me and simply follow along. I will guide you through the tapping points. I will say a phrase out loud and then you will repeat that phrase after me. And if at any time any of the wording or phrases don't feel true to you, feel free to replace it with words that feel more resonant to you and your situation. Okay? So we're going to begin with what we call our setup statements. Even though when I think back to that time, when I didn't handle that situation very well, I feel some guilt and shame around that. And I choose to love and accept myself anyway. Even though when I think back to that moment, when the situation got the best of me, I feel some guilt and shame around how I handled it. And I'm open to accepting myself right now. Even though when I think back to that moment, that was so hard, I have some guilt and shame. And emotions are coming up for me. And that's okay. I am choosing to deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway. Now let's move to the top of the head. When I think back to that time, eyebrow points, that moment that I'm not so proud of, side of the eyes, it was a low moment for me. Underneath the eyes, I did not have a handle on the situation. Underneath the nose, and it pushed me to the edge. Underneath the lips, I don't even recognize that person. Underneath the collarbones, I felt so depleted and stressed. Side of the ribs, I just didn't have any more to give. Underneath the chest, and yet life demanded more. Tap the inside of the wrist together. And so that moment got the best of me. Top of the head. And I reacted in a way I am not proud of. Eyebrow points. I was very triggered. Side of the eyes. And so I'm feeling some shame and guilt around that moment. underneath the eyes. I've been working so hard with so much intention. Underneath the nose, to be patient and caring of my child. Take a breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Underneath the lips, and I lost it. Underneath the collarbones, I feel so much shame and guilt about that moment. Side of the ribs, and it's bringing up some emotion for me. Underneath the chest, it's bringing up, and go ahead and fill in the blank what emotion comes up for you. It is bringing up some grief and sadness. Wrist points, and I can feel this in and go ahead and fill in the blank where you feel it in your body. I can feel this in my throat. Top of the head. There's a part of me that wants to curl up and hide away from this feeling. Eyebrow points. There's a part of me that wants to numb it out or distract myself. Side of the eyes, because it's so painful. Underneath the eyes, and then the story starts to run in circles. Underneath the nose, that wants to tell myself that I'm not doing a good job. Underneath the lips, or what's wrong with you? Underneath the collarbones. So I'm taking a moment to give myself permission side of the ribs to verbalize what I'm feeling and thinking. Underneath the chest. But the truth is, I know that deep down, wrist points, there is a love for my child that is so deep. Top of the head. And I do deeply care about my child. Eyebrow points. So perhaps this incident, side of the eyes, and experience underneath the eyes doesn't have to define who I am as a person or a mother. Underneath the nose, perhaps there is a way to acknowledge underneath the lips, the part of me that was suffering and hurting. Underneath the collarbones, and the part of my child that was suffering and hurting. side of the ribs. I wonder what it would feel like. Underneath the chest, to love myself through these painful feelings. Wrist points. I wonder what it would feel like. Top of the head, to hold space for the part of me that needs caring and gentleness and understanding. Eyebrow points, and the part of me that wants to come clean and make things right. Side of the eyes. Let's take a breath in through the nose and sigh it out the mouth. Motherhood is arduous. Underneath the eyes. And maybe there is a way for me to navigate this. Underneath the nose, by forgiving myself for those moments that I'm not proud of. Underneath the lips, and taking the time to listen deeply to what my core needs might be. Underneath the collarbones, I'm giving myself space for compassion, forgiveness, and understanding. Side of the ribs, while still holding space to make things right with my child. Underneath the chest, perhaps there's a way to have a dialogue. Wrist points, whether it be verbal or nonverbal. Top of the head, to bridge the gap between us. Eyebrow points. I am recognizing that I am a human being. Side of the eyes, that makes mistakes from time to time. Underneath the eyes. And just because I make mistakes, underneath the nose, doesn't mean that I'm a bad mom or a bad person. Underneath the lips, it's a choice in how I want to handle this situation moving forward. Underneath the collarbones, I'm reminding myself that I have choice. Side of the ribs, and I'm giving myself permission to take this a step at a time. Underneath the chest, through the ups and downs and all the unexpecteds. Wrist points. I am choosing to forgive myself. so that I may let go of the shame and guilt. And be free to walk forward and make new choices. All right, let's take a pause there. Take a breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And one more. And exhale. Okay. So yeah, I'm curious how you're feeling now compared to when we started or before we started. If the feeling or the intensity around the emotions related to this incident or situation has shifted for you. I definitely feel a lot more calm. I feel more open in my heart space. So please let me know. I'd love to hear how this is for you. And, I really want to just normalize, especially for us moms, that, it's not easy, and to normalize when we have those moments where we are in such a survival mode that, our reactions are coming out of left field. And when we look back, wow, it's like, where did that come from? So can we normalize, that is a part of the journey, that is a part of what is going to happen when we are carrying a lot and navigating unfamiliar waters, and can we offer ourselves some grace as we navigate our lives in this way? So I hope you found this helpful. Please let me know. I always love to hear how this was for you and what's coming up for you. And as always, I am here to support you one-on-one if you would like any further support around this. But before we close, I just want to offer a reminder and a shout out to all the moms out there. You're doing a good job, even if it doesn't feel like it, even if you feel like life is a mess and you don't know where things are or don't recognize yourself at moments. Here's just a reminder and acknowledgement that you are doing such important work, and it's not unrecognized. Okay, lots of love to you. Take care.